Good morning. Nice of you guys to join us. I'm Rebecca Jenkins. For you guys that don't know me, sorry, I'm getting some stuff set up here on my computer. We're going to give everybody a little bit of time to get logged in here. I know it takes a little bit of time for people to get logged in, and we are in a bunch of different time zones. So I appreciate everyone that has made the time to join us. So as we talk through this today, I do want to encourage you guys to put questions into the Q&A here at the bottom. Don't use the chat if you can avoid it. The questions helps us be able to track it a little bit better. I don't want to miss anybody's questions. But I'm going to give everyone a couple more minutes to get on here. I see we've got people joining us, and we're just giving people a little bit more time to get started here. So, and if you want to put a question quick in just to make sure to test it, you want to say hi, please go ahead and do that. If not, we'll be with you in just a couple of minutes as more people sign in. I hope things are getting back to normal for where everybody is at. I can certainly say here in the States, in some parts of the country, things are starting to feel very, very normal. I think largely in most places, unless you're in a heavily, densely populated city, things here in Findlay are certainly starting to feel very, very normal, and we are enjoying the summer weather. Today is going to be one of the hottest days of the year so far, so I am grateful for air conditioning. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. First, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I'm Rebecca Jenkins. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Enrollment here for the University of Findlay. Most of you should know me. You should know from the emails that you get, or if you are a student who is logged in, or if you get this email passed along. I am here and happy to help you guys with any questions that you have. On the call with me today, I have Dr. Damon Osborne, so he is the Dean for the College of Business here at the University of Findlay, and Dr. Tim Murphy will be joining us here a little bit later. Damon is here and he's going to talk through what our business program offers, both our undergraduate business program and our graduate business program. I also have Suzanne Recker on the call with us, and she is the one that you would have all gotten emails from if you've sent us applications, because she's the one that processes and reviews all applications. Tony Voorhees is here, and she is one of our admissions counselors. And then Debbie Van Atta is probably someone you've also got emails from. She handles all of our immigration. So all of your students getting the I-20s, making sure their documentation is in place with where it needs to be. So with that, I want to go ahead and turn it over to Damon to review the programs. And again, please ask questions along the way. This is a nice casual conversation. We are recording this conversations, and you will all get a copy of the recording. So if you want to share it with people later, please do. Or if you have colleagues that you know were not able to log in and follow along, please do that as well. So, and with that, I will stop talking and let Damon talk.
Well, thanks for the introduction, Rebecca. Greatly appreciate that. And thanks to everybody for joining us today. And as Rebecca said, very informal in the presentation today. So please ask questions as we go. And if anybody sees a question before I happen to see it, just pause me mid-breath, and I will stop myself and answer a question for you. And if I can't answer it, I'll make something up that sounds brilliant. All right, so to talk a little bit about our programs at the College of Business, we do offer a pathway all the way from an associate's degree at the undergraduate level through the MBA. So we have an associate's degree program in a number of different kind of common areas: finance, accounting, areas that you would see normally. And we don't have a ton of enrollment strictly in the associate's program because we have a number of two-year schools around us. So what we find with the associate's program is some people find that as an off-ramp. You know, they start a program and maybe they just want the two-year degree. But we have a traditional undergraduate degree on campus that we've recently revised over the last year and a half or so, the curriculum in that program to make it more along the lines of what you would see at one of the top ranked business schools as far as an undergraduate business program. At most of those schools, you'll see a Bachelor of Business Administration as that undergraduate business degree. And we've moved pretty far in that direction by expanding the core set of business classes. And we call the major now, the undergraduate major, essentially Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, and then with an emphasis in a specific area. For example, the emphasis would be in finance or accounting. So in the past, you would hear those as majors. You know, I'm majoring in finance, or I'm majoring in economics or human resources. And now we have, because the business core is so big, it's 37 hours of classes. Because that's so big and takes so much time, it's essentially, it becomes its own major. And then we have an emphasis area in the common, what used to be majors. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Makes sense to me. Students still use the same language that they used before. Yeah, I'm majoring in accounting, you know, because in their mind, they're doing exactly that. But what I love about the expanded business core is that a student who is majoring in accounting and gets out into the world, and maybe they do start in a staff accountant role at a company, they have had a very broad experience with business content. They've been in a number of economics classes and human resources and operations and logistics and that sort of thing. Like I said, a broad base. So they're able to see the problem from a much higher level. Instead of just thinking about something strictly from an accounting standpoint, like does the ledger line balance out? Everything's good, great. They're thinking about it from, what is the operational impact on my company if we go to this resource instead of this resource, right? So I really like what we've done with the undergraduate business major to turn it more into one common major with emphases. We just added a new emphasis over the end of the spring through our curriculum action process. It is business analytics, and that is it's a very hot area right now for companies. They need problem solvers to dig into the glut of data that they're just faced with every day and make sense of it. And so we've partnered with our computer science department and our math department here on campus to put together an emphasis in business that focuses on analytics, so that a student who is more quantitatively minded, and they're not necessarily seeking accounting or finance as their career path, they might find this very appealing. So I'd encourage you to check it out, especially as we get more material out on the web about that. We do have one other program at the undergraduate level. This is typically something that we work with domestic students only, because it is for degree completion and it's fully online. So students who have taken a 2-year program here in the United States and they want to finish a business degree, we have a program that they can just step right in and finish the last 2 years of that undergraduate degree and get their Bachelor of Science in Business Management. And finally, we do have the MBA, and we have that in 2 different modalities. We offer that both face-to-face and online. The online program is going very strong, and the face-to-face program, we're looking at essentially it becoming a cohort kind of a model, where the group of students that would come in at the fall intake would essentially work together through that program, through the core set of classes in the MBA. The MBA does have a number of extra, concentrations or secondary concentrations that are available. For example, students who are interested in working in accounting, we do have a CPA track. We also have a CMA, Certified Managerial Accounting track, so that they can take some extra coursework to be able to sit for that licensure accordingly. One of the things I love about the MBA, especially for international students, is the flexibility, because we offer all of the same coursework, same exact courses and numbers and everything, both face-to-face and online. International students can take advantage of an online course here and there. They don't take a full program, but they're able to take a course here and there that helps maybe free up time in their schedule for other things too. So I've found that our international population, the students that come for the MBA, love having that flexibility and taking, like I said, they don't take a fully online program, but they'll take a course out of that 9 hours, right? They'll take one 3-hour course out of 9 hours, and that you would not believe how much that frees up in their schedule. All right, I'm going to surface for air real quick at the 10-minute mark here. That is the 30,000-foot view of the programs that we have in the College of Business. Before I dive into anything else, are there any questions?
Damon, I know as you're moving to your next part, can you talk a little bit about the Euler 10 program at the undergrad level and what some of those graduates of that program are doing now?
Yeah, I was going to talk about, we do have some unique opportunities for students at the undergrad level. The program that Rebecca just mentioned, Euler 10, we're the Oilers, the Findlay Oilers. So Euler 10, it was originally 10 students who wanted to do more. I don't know how else to say it. They had a drive, and we had a really dynamic faculty member who got that whole project started and still runs it from a distance because he can't let go. He loves it too. But what it is, it's a group of kind of disparate business majors. They're not all accountants. They're not all finance people. They're different majors in business, but they have formed a business solutions company, essentially, is what they are. Their faculty member will reach out to companies and find problems that the company is having, or maybe they need a new logo. Maybe they need a new tagline or brand mark or something, that they can do, or consultants to help solve a problem in accounting. The faculty member connects the students in the Euler 10 to these businesses, and the students run the business. The students reach out to the companies and find out what their needs are and address those needs as professionals. It's a little intimidating to me. I mean, Rebecca introduced me as the dean. I'm really the interim dean. I've been the interim dean for about 2.5 years, so it feels like it's a full-time gig at this point. But I mean, that's a company within the College of Business that is doing things. They make money. They bring in revenue into their organization. So that's really, really cool. Very entrepreneurial. So I love that we have the capability of letting that happen. We allow things like that to just, oh, you've got a good idea and this could be good for our students. Let's let that thing fly. Let's see how it goes. Another thing that I really like for our undergraduate students is a program called the Dana Scholars. And it was originally funded by the Dana Corporation. And essentially what it is a weekly seminar class that is led by one of our area business professionals. So Marathon Petroleum Corporation has their headquarters right down the road from our campus. And I've had a number of their executives or past executives serve as the Dana Scholar Chair. So that's the faculty member who would lead that seminar class. We've had people from Cooper Tire, another international company, and some small business insurance owners and things like that, who bring their own unique perspective to this seminar, but then take the students, the 10 students who qualify, around to all of these area businesses to meet with them and learn. Like when they go to Cooper Tire, they take a tour of the factory to learn how that tire is made. What a great experience to understand, like going into a company or going into a business. Let me show you the operation from start to finish, and we're shipping that tire out the door. When we go down to Marathon Corporation towards the end of that semester that the students are in the Dana Scholar program, they are given they're broken into two groups, and Marathon provides them with two problems to help us solve. And these are actual problems that Marathon is working on as a company. And the last one was last year they were talking about how do we recruit and retain a diverse workforce at some of our more remote locations. And so our students had to come up with a presentation to give to some of their C-level executives. You have the opportunity as a student at the University of Findlay to stand in front of C-level executives at Marathon Petroleum Corporation, if you're that caliber of student to be able to do that work. So there are some incredible opportunities for a mid-sized private university based on where we're located. One other thing I would mention is we have great relationships with the area business people too. One that just springs to mind is a woman by the name of Sherry Brumbaugh. She runs Garner Trucking, which is, you know, a trucking logistics business where they just transport goods. But she is also on my advisory board for the College of Business, and she's also on our board of trustees. And people like that connect to our campus and our program, and they help us understand what industry is looking for today. Not what they were looking for 20 years ago or 10 years ago. What do we need today? What do we need tomorrow? How do we need to change things? And we respond accordingly. We make the changes that we need to make. So as an undergrad, you have ample opportunity to do internships at any of these businesses that I've mentioned around this area. You can do that at the MBA level too. That's the thing I like about our program. When you come here to live in Findlay, you have access to those same resources that you would at the undergraduate level. So I would highly encourage students that come to take advantage of all of the opportunities that we have here in Northwest Ohio. All right, was that good? You have another question for me, Rebecca?
Can you talk a little bit about what our students would experience in the MBA program? They're coming here from overseas and they're sitting in class. What's that experience as an MBA student at the University of Findlay actually like?
Yeah, that's a great question. We both modalities, whether it's face-to-face or online, we offer this MBA program on an accelerated schedule. So each class exists within an 8-week block instead of a full 15, 16-week semester. So it's accelerated, and they're geared towards working adults. So a lot of the content focuses on pull something from what you're currently doing in your industry, your work, and make it into this project. A lot of active learning, especially in our face-to-face setting, where here's a case to consider as a group, as opposed to somebody standing and talking at you for 3 or 4 hours a night, which is painful. You know, I mean, you want to have, as a student, I want to be engaged in that. And so we work really hard to make sure that faculty continue to improve their teaching practice so that they are engaging in the classroom, and they mix it up so that you have, you know, it's not just, like I said, it's not just somebody standing and talking at you or a super long test. It is, let's do this for this period of time. Let's break it up a little bit and have a discussion on that, break it into groups, and you talk about that and come back and share out on how that works. So timeline, about 8 weeks per course. Most of the students take a couple courses in one block, and then they'll take one course in the second block. So you'll have like 3 classes to 4 classes per semester. That's 9 to 12 hours per semester for the most part. We do offer some of our classes over the summer too. So you have access to taking classes year round. You can finish this in the span of a year if you were super aggressive. Most students take 2 years to finish the program. So a quick anecdote on that. When I was working on my doctoral program as a student myself, I ran into somebody in my cohort who was taking 3 classes, 4 classes at a time. You could take as many as you wanted, 4 classes at a time. And I was taking 2. And I was going for the A. But really what I was going for was, I'm paying for this. I want to learn this stuff. I want to learn this. I'm going to use this. His philosophy was, I need to get through this. I need to get through this so I can get the degree. What use is the degree if you just get through it? You need to learn this stuff. So I would find a pace that, you know, especially if this is your first experience as an international student in the United States into one of our courses. Start off easy. Start off with a class. Get a feel for how things are going. Oh, I can add more load. Great. So second block, add 2 classes. Sounds great. If you're coming into us without an undergraduate business degree, we do have some prerequisites that students can take to allow them to get in to the business, to the MBA outright. So we do have other options for you to make your way in. But for face-to-face students, that's pretty much what you would experience. Now, like I said, you can also take an online class or 2, and that's actually my area of expertise. My other job at the university is I'm the Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs, and I'm in charge of our online learning enterprise. So I partner with the programs, not just business, but to help make sure that we adhere to best practices for online teaching and learning. So that's a long-term project, but we're making great progress. The University of Findlay has extensive experience with online education, and I just happened to join about 4.5 years ago, and put my own flavor into it.
Damon, let's talk a little bit about that. I know that for many on the call, we're still in that digging our way out of COVID and trying to figure out what the fall is going to look like. And for many of our agents that are on, depending on where they're at and what's going on in that country, visa offices may not be open yet. Flights are not available to be booked, and we are coming up against a fall entry point. For our fall entry point, classes largely start the middle of August. Mm-hmm. But for the MBA program, he's mentioned blocks. There's additional start dates for those programs that if you've got students that for reasons completely out of their control, they don't think they're going to be able to get here to start in August. We're starting to get more requests for deferrals. But if you've got students that are interested in the MBA, the environmental program, and then in our health informatics program, there are additional options to start that program after that initial August start date. Damon, if you want to talk a little bit about what that looks like for the MBA program, that would be great.
Certainly. Like I said, our online MBA enrollment is quite a bit more than our face-to-face enrollment, but we still have a number of face-to-face students. And what I've noticed is that we tend to bring in enough at any one intake session that they can form a viable cohort of students to keep going forward. So let's say, for example, that it just is not looking good for that first fall. That would be probably, I can't give you the date, but it's going to be the 3rd or 4th week of August for us. We're almost always about a week behind or so the start of our traditional semester for our block program. Even so, if things are still kind of up in the air or looking sketchy, then students have options. I mean, you can take the program online from within your own country. That is an option. You can take our online program if you qualify for it, the same as you would qualify for the face-to-face program. Most students don't do that. Most students want to come to the United States and experience the entire thing. I totally understand that. So in that kind of a situation, it might be advisable to say, well, if I can't make that first block towards the end of August, maybe I come to the beginning of October when that second block starts, or middle of October or so. And that way, we offer the classes that we need to offer. So for example, MBA 610 is one of the first classes that everybody takes. And so if I knew that I was going to have 15, 20 international students that couldn't make it in August, but they're going to make it in October, I'm going to schedule a section of that class face-to-face and just have it on the calendar. I'm just going to have it sitting there waiting to make sure that when the students that we recruit show up for that, we have a place to welcome them into. So that's another thing that's flexible about the MBA is that we offer those classes on a regular basis. Online, we offer those a lot more frequently because we just have more demand for them. So it's a lot easier for us to offer those sections. However, if we started a cohort, if we started a group, I would then tailor a schedule of courses to accommodate their passage through our program. Does that make sense? Is that helpful?
Yes, very much so. Are there any questions for Damon at this point? It looks like Dr. Murphy has then come up and won't be joining us, but I can talk a bit about the environmental program overall, and then maybe we'll schedule another time for him to get on the call and talk with you guys. But feel free if you've got questions directly for Damon or Suzanne or Debbie about entrance requirements, just ask them along the way. For our environmental program, this is one of my favorite programs here at the University of Findlay. Sorry, Damon. Not that his programs are not. For our environmental program, we offer both an undergraduate and a graduate program. The undergraduate program is environmental health safety, and sustainability. And the graduate program is environmental health and safety. So we are one of the few programs in the country that's accredited by the two major accrediting bodies for environmental health and safety. And I make the joke, you know, my background is in marketing and enrollment, but if I would choose to do it all over again, and if I was a little bit smarter, I would go and do environmental health and safety, because anyone that I know that's ever gone into this field has gone on to a very in-demand and lucrative career field. I've never known anyone with a degree from Findlay in that field who's ever looked for a job and not been able to find one pretty much immediately. The nice thing about this program too, it is a STEM programs, right, Debbie? So they would get the 3-year, oh, yep, she's nodding her head. Okay, I had that right. So they would get the 3-year OPT with that program. This program at the undergraduate level, it's a 4-year applied science degree. So if you have students that are strong in chemistry and it has that analytical, and they want to work with their hands a little bit more, this is a great program for them. So if you have students that are kind of, I like sciences, but I'm not sure what I want to do, this is a program I really encourage you to have them look at. These students do about 2 internships, depending on what they want to do during their time as an undergrad. These internships are very, very well paid. When they graduate, that program is 100% job placement rate. We actually have an advisory board made up a lot of corporations in the region, and a lot of them are our alums who they need our graduates. They want our graduates. They actually have more job openings for our graduates than we have graduates to put in them. So that's one reason that I push this program so heavy, is I have this wonderful advisory board that's like, your students are second to none. We need more. And so it's a fantastic career field for people to go into. In this field, both of the undergraduates in the undergrad program and the graduate program, they are working to make work environments better. They're working to make how we respond to environmental disasters better. They are not necessarily the people that are in the trenches doing the cleanup work. I think that's a misperception, is that they are actually in the trenches doing it. They are trained in how to do it as part of their education, but they're not. They're the managers working with people who are in the trenches doing it. They're the people leading the companies. They are the head environmental health and safety officers for companies. One of our graduates right now is the vice president of environmental health and safety for Marathon Petroleum. Another graduate has started his own business and has since morphed that into many businesses and has become one of our major donors for the University of Findlay, because he is so financially successful and is so grateful for the education he got here at Findlay. At the graduate level, that program is really good in that it goes beyond the basics of environmental health and safety. It teaches them not only the advanced level classes with that field, it also teaches them, I know there's classes in there that partner with the MBA that teaches them how to be good managers, how to be good strategic thinkers, how to be leaders in the C-suite at their companies. And this program at the graduate level is also available online as it is in person. And so as we are all as a world feeling our way through the COVID crises, again, just like Damon's, the MBA, if you have students that are really interested, but because of reasons out of everyone's control, they're not going to be able to get here in time to start classes middle of August, that program also has another block of classes that start mid-October, another block of classes that start in January. So there's a lot of flexibility they can do with that program and get a head start on their degree at the University of Findlay and not have to wait for a terribly long time to get classes, to get started with it. But it is, oh, here he is. I think we have Tim Murphy actually joining us. Oh, good. So Tim, it's nice to see you joining us. I know you had something come up. We've got, we'll give him just a minute here to get going. I was just talking about your program, so your timing is fantastic. So I was just getting out of the range of things that I know to say about your great program.
Hey, Rebecca, I'm going to go ahead and jump off.
Okay.
I just got a text for another call. So thanks, everybody. And if anybody does have any questions, just send them my way. Happy to help.
Great. Thank you, Damon. Appreciate it. Tim, if you want to unmute yourself. I'm going to text you quick.
Good morning.
There you are. Nice. Your timing is impeccable, my friend. I was just introducing your program. So we're just kind of walking through what the undergrad program included and the grad program included. We've got a number of agents from all over the world here on the call, and I know they're eager to hear about the success your international students have had in your program.
So would you like me to start with undergrad or graduate program?
Why don't you start with graduate program, please?
Okay. Graduate program, 2-year program. Some students take 3 years, some take 2 to complete the program. Have had real good success with all the students. We happen to have pretty good, actually very good success with the students getting into internships, international students. In fact, I've got 2 of the students right now on an internship program with, it's called the NEPIP, National Environmental Public Health Internship Program. And that program is funded by the US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and it's administered by the National Environmental Health Association. And so I've got 2 students doing that. Due to the COVID, both of them ended up that they did at-home internships, all distance learning, but they're working with local health departments on the health department's response to the COVID-19. So they're doing contact tracing, and they're doing some epidemiological things. And at the same time, CDC has provided free access to all the students in this program to access a variety of training programs in order to help build their skill set to do the work that they're doing, but also to provide them a better internship program than just doing something remotely. But we've had a number of students who have found full-time jobs here after they get done. In fact, I was speaking with Rick Puckett the other day. Rick is the former vice president of Ford Automotive for Health and Safety, who is now vice president of Winnebago Industries worldwide for health and safety. And he just hired one of our former international students, a young lady by the name of Namrata. Namrata was actually in the graduate program when Rick was in the program 10 years ago, and he's kept track of her ever since and offered her a really nice position. So the students get good hands-on experience. The international students all have access to our world-renowned training facility so that they can do hands-on training. It's not required for the degree, but our training group offers the international students a very deep discount in order to take these training classes just for certificate, not for graduate credit. So any questions at all about the graduate program? Anything I missed?
I think that was a good summary. If you want to talk a little bit about the undergraduate program, and then kind of, so you can have a little bit undergraduate program, the internship opportunities that are available to students, and if you've got specific example of some of the international students that have done the program and how they've done in the program.
So specific examples of, I just mentioned Namrata at the graduate level. A variety of other students. Casey ended up going down to Tennessee after he got out of the graduate program, doing environmental work down there. Badar ended up going back home after doing a year of OPT here and is doing health and safety work back home in Saudi Arabia. And let's see, at the undergraduate level, the master's degree, although it focuses more on management than it does on the technical side, the undergraduate degree focuses more on the technical side, the science involved in environmental health and safety and sustainability. In addition, because in the United States, so much of what we do in the environmental health and safety field revolves around the regulations, the undergraduate program also includes quite a bit of regulation, not only individual standalone courses in regulation, but regulation is woven throughout all the technical aspects of the program. Because in the United States and EU and Canada and a variety of other countries, the technical aspect and the regulatory aspect go hand in hand. And they need to. You need to understand both so that you can come up with a solution for whatever problem your company or agency is facing. So the undergraduate program, the program starts out as a freshman year, basic science, some basic introduction to environment and environmental science. It then moves in the second year to some of the regulatory courses, into some of the applied science courses, industrial processes and hazard recognition, human anatomy and physiology, regulatory classes. The third year it moves into more of the applied science, sampling and field analytical work, project management work. And then in the fourth year, of course, is where it moves into the upper level applied courses such as management of health and safety programs, and then of course our toxicology and risk assessment class. Those are the two capstone classes during their senior year. Internships for the students. Most students take an internship after their sophomore year and again after their junior year. Typically they don't get one before that because they just don't have enough skill set yet to be of a lot of value to the company or the agency that they're working for. We do have some that get them earlier, but it's pretty rare. Internships are varied. International students have been successful in not only internships through that NEPIT program that our graduate students are involved in, but they've also had success with individual health departments and with individual corporations. Winnebago through Rick Puckett will hire in international internships. Pepsi has been hiring international students for internships. BP Husky Refinery will hire, as will a variety of small manufacturing and distribution companies will also hire the students for internships. And some of the international students have actually gone back home for the summertime and performed an internship in their home city. Maybe it's at the local hospital, they're doing infection control, or it happens to be in a local industry, they're doing something in the way of health and safety. Usually for the industry, it's really looking at the risks that the employees face in order to start that whole risk assessment. It's called a job hazard analysis to make sure that people can be safe during their job. And so success stories, the vast majority of the undergraduate international students end up going back home to their home country. Many of them, probably 20%, are successful in getting some type of OPT after their undergraduate program. But as far as individuals off the top of my head, Sam Husan, he went home for an internship, worked at the hospital doing infection control, came back, finished up the degree the next year, and then went back to Saudi Arabia. And that's, off the top of my head, that's the only one I can remember by name, because Sam was the most recent. Oh, we've had a brother and a sister. She went through our graduate program. He went through our undergraduate program, and there's about 8 years age difference in between. She now heads up health and safety for Saudi Aramco, and he left and went back home and did his internship there for Saudi Aramco, and I've not heard where he's working full-time. I imagine he's with Saudi Aramco because, you know, if older sister's running the business unit, then it might be easy to get a job working for her. But those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head.
Great, thanks, Tim. Tim, can you talk a little bit about the training facility, both what's here on Main?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then and like that is one of that makes this program really unique. Is it's not just class. It's actually the vast majority of it is hands-on, and like right. It's not just sitting in a classroom listening to Tim talk.
Correct.
No offense, Tim.
No, none taken. I'm a professor. I get paid to talk. So the undergraduate program, students must take a variety of these hands-on training courses for academic credit. The graduate program, the students can take it for a certificate. So we have two training facilities. One is on campus, and then one is a off-campus facility that is outside of the city limits. And we'll start with the one on campus. The on-campus training facility, we do a variety of hands-on training. The two big courses that we do there, one is called Confined Space, and the other one is the Hazardous Waste Site Worker Training. And I'll start with Confined Space. Confined space is a space that a person can get their entire body into. It's only got one way in and out, and it's not meant for you to work in, and it has some type of a danger. So think mixing tanks, think utility vaults, grain silos, oil tanks, that type of thing. And in the United States, like many countries, people die in those on an annual basis because either lack of oxygen or some type of chemical in there that they're breathing in. And so we have on campus, in our on-campus training facility, we have a confined space simulator, which includes tanks and pipelines that people have to crawl through. It includes high-angle rescue, which means rescuing people from an elevated platform or from a underground where you have to bring them up vertically a significant distance. And so the students take that class. The other class, the Hazardous Waste Site Worker Training class, that class provides students with an education on the risks of chemicals that are in an uncontrolled environment. So a truck that's leaking, or a rail car that's leaking, or a tank that's leaking, or any type of a container that might be leaking, and how to respond to that. So in that class, not only do the students look at how to identify not the exact chemical, but the hazards of that chemical, and then how to mitigate the hazard, and in doing so, what type of protective equipment they need to be wearing. So whether it's a Tyvek suit or an air purifying respirator or a full encapsulated suit with a breathing air pack on their back, they're trained and use all that equipment several times during that week-long training class. So it's all, the undergraduate program has a lot of hands-on training, not only in these specialized training classes, but we also have a significant number of lab classes where the students are doing hands-on laboratory work in the lab or else in the field, or a combination of both. Our off-campus training facility is a 5-acre facility that includes a train derailment in the very back, where we actually have rail cars that are laying on their side. Those rail cars have air and water plumbed to them, so we can make them spew water up in the air 20 feet. We have electricity that runs back there, so we can actually do training exercises at night and bring in portable lights in order to make it as realistic as possible. We have another area which is a chemical transfer area where they transfer chemicals from tanks to rail cars or rail cars to tanks. We have another area which is a pond with a little stream, and so people will do sampling of that pond. They can do sediment sampling, water sampling, wildlife sampling. We have pipeline rack that we can make leak. We have a variety of scenarios that are extremely realistic. The reason it's off or outside of campus and outside the city limits is that it allows us to set things on fire there, which we cannot do inside the city limits. And so we have firefighters that we work with that will set things on fire, because the students actually learn the proper use of firefighting equipment at just what's called the incipient fire level, the small fire where you can use a fire extinguisher or a small hose. They're not learning how to be firefighters, but they are learning how to fight small fires within an industrial setting. Other questions? The dog just showed up out here, so you may hear the dog bark every once in a while. Sorry about that.
Tim, you're talking about being able to do fires and those types of things, and I'm laughing because as long as you and I've worked together, Tim, I wanted you to set up a display like that so we can get some cool marketing videos of those things. And that's still our standing request, that I would like for you to blow some things up so I can make a cool video out of it. And he tells me no.
Actually, what I'll do is the same way we did it the last time, is I will get Dr. Fry involved, because Dr. Fry does like to blow things up and set things on fire, and he does it better than anybody I know. And I will get him involved again, and we can set that up, and we'll get the local fire department involved, because they'll have to be there if we get Dr. Fry involved.
Sounds like a lot of work just so I can have a cool thing in a marketing video, Tim.
Well, but we can also do, we now have a fire pan out there. It's a typical training tool. It's about 1 meter by 1 meter that holds different types of flammable liquids. And we set that on fire, and it's a real good, safe way of teaching students how to use fire extinguishers. In fact, the training group's been offering, this fall will be the 3rd year of fire extinguisher training for any faculty and staff member on campus. So you all can go out there and in an hour training program, learn how to use a fire extinguisher the proper way in order to stop a fire that may occur at your house. You know, you're cooking bacon and the bacon pan catches on fire, how to put it out the right way.
I did not know that.
Yeah. In fact, it was something that the Workplace Safety Committee put together 2 years ago. Kevin Smith's in charge of it, and it runs through Dave Emsweller's office.
Now we've been on the call here for a fair bit. Are there any questions before we get off the call? Any questions about admissions criteria or anything that we have not asked? You guys can always email us and ask questions as well. I know you guys all have my email, but I appreciate Tim taking some time and joining us here as well.
You're quite welcome. And if anybody has any questions, please let me know. We can put you in contact with current international students. We can put you in contact with international student alumni. Bill Doyle is an excellent resource when it comes to international student alumni. He keeps in contact with many of our international students from the last 15 years that he's been teaching with us.
Very good, very good. And so, friends, we plan to have another session here in about a month. And for that session, I'm plan to have the heads of our 2 major technology programs, the Masters of Data Analytics and Security, and the Masters of Health Informatics, in on that session, so you guys can learn more directly from them what the experience is like in that program. But with that, I want to go ahead and thank you all for your time and your attention, and we appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us here at the University of Findlay. This is recorded, so I will share this out with all of you, and then please share it with whomever that you think could benefit in learning more about our MBA program and our environmental program. But with that, I'm going to give you a little bit of time back in the rest of your day, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.